In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And once you're there, you can see that we start off over on Instagram. Go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content just like all of these awesome people are doing right now. If you do miss the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. After 24 hours, poof, it goes away, but we throw all of them up onto YouTube. So go type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the YouTube channel. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which is not only just on Apple Podcasts, it's now available on Stitcher as well. So all you Android people yelling at me, where's it at? We got you covered now on Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website. Today's Jimmy Rants is not just Jimmy Moore, because today we have the once a week excursion into brilliance with the lovely, the talented, the beautiful. You know her as Mrs. Jimmy Moore. I call her Christina Wiener. What's up, Chris?
Hey, nothing much. You're just getting to see me in rare form today.
There you go. So Christine is a nutritional therapy practitioner, and once a week here on Jimmy Rants, we pop her on here for a Jimmy Rants Nutritional Pearls podcast crossover episode. And because I am leaving out of town to go to the Metabolic Health Summit tomorrow, and I will not be back until late in the day on Monday, we are recording the Nutritional Pearls podcast right here, right now. And so I was like, Chris, what do you want to talk about? And she said,
why we think certain foods are healthy, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so this was inspired, the Jimmy Rants today, the Nutritional Pearls podcast crossover, why fruit and other healthy foods are not necessarily appropriate on keto. And it was inspired because you were at your physical therapist office today. She's recovering very nicely from her shoulder surgery in October. And so your physical therapist today, tell that story.
So I was doing my exercises and she was talking about what she had for breakfast this morning, and she said it's pretty good. She said I had some yogurt, which, you know, that runs the whole gamut of things.
Yogurt can be very sugary. The Dannon with the fruit in the bottom, that ain't yogurt. That's sugar bomb. But
yeah. So she said she had yogurt, then she had an apple, and then she had some almonds. The almonds good. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. So
unless it was roasted in the seed oils.
Yeah. I don't know what the quality of hers was. She didn't go into that.
So her perception was that was a pretty good meal. And I picked up my goddaughter today to help go get her some lunch. So she went to some fast food restaurant. And before she went back to work, I said, okay, what kind of crappy garbage did you buy today for lunch? And she said, oh, it's pretty good. I'm like, well, what does pretty good mean? Well, we put, I got chicken strips. And she said, and it's breaded. Okay, pretty good it is not. I said, and you got French fries too, right? Yeah, I did. And you got a Coke, right? Yeah. So, what we're talking about here today is all of these perceptions that people have, Christine, about what things are healthy. A chicken breast certainly falls within that category of what people think is healthy. It's one reason why Chick-fil-A has gotten kind of this health halo amongst the fast food restaurants. It's chicken.
Wi-Fi going on.
It's not on Wi-Fi.
Oh.
As if that is something that just automatically makes it healthy. And I try to educate people that chicken is not healthy in the sense that they think it is. The reason they do is
Because it's low fat.
because it's low in fat. So let's talk about, let's go to the big one, because everybody always says, well, I don't understand why all you keto people don't eat fruit. Don't you know fruit is extraordinarily healthy for you? We've been told to eat fruits and vegetables all the time in our entire lives. What's wrong with fruit? Aren't there micronutrients in fruit, Christine?
There are micronutrients in fruit,
But
you can get all those micronutrients from leafy greens and non-starchy veggies.
that's all they got left.
I know, right? Too bad.
So what do they get in fruit that could be harmful to them?
So there's fructose and glucose in fruit. So this is where the problem comes in. The body doesn't distinguish between natural sugar and processed sugar. So yeah, you've got some micronutrients in that fruit, but what's happening is that the fructose and the sugar that's in that fruit is harmful to your body. It can actually leach nutrients out of your body.
Let's explore that a little bit more, because people often say, well, it's natural sugar that's in the fruit, so that doesn't count. What makes people think because it comes in the form of a fruit and not in the form of a candy bar that it's a different sugar?
Well, I mean, the candy bar's processed, okay? So, and then your fruit and your starchy veggies, we'll get into that too, but your fruit is not processed. It's you can pick it off of a tree or a bush.
No, you're not understanding me.
Okay.
So what I'm asking is, people look at fruit and say, that sugar in that fruit doesn't count because it's natural, whereas they don't think it's the same metabolic thing that happens to them when they eat a candy bar.
Oh, well, I see what you're saying. So,
Why don't they see them as equivalent?
well, because the fruit is natural. I mean,
But what I'm saying, so we're trying to have this discussion about why people believe things are healthy.
it's been what we've been told.
Right. But what I'm saying is, people, they just give a halo, a health halo to things like fruit.
Yeah.
So a banana, because you peel the skin off of it and it's this real whole food, which it is, they think, oh, well, because it's a banana, because the apple with your physical therapist, because it's an orange, because it came from a plant and picked whole, that can't possibly harm you in the same way as a candy bar. So the question becomes, how do you convince people that those two, from a carbohydrate sugar impact perspective, are identical?
Well, I mean, you just have to get them to. This is where testing comes into play. So you test your blood sugar. Your blood sugar doesn't lie. If you think an apple is good or an orange is good, yeah, and hear me when I'm saying this. I'm not saying that you should not eat an apple or orange. There are some people that
You have a carb tolerance that allows you to have it,
yeah,
then go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But for a lot
But
of
most
us,
don't.
we can't handle that. So you test your blood sugar. Your blood sugar is probably going to go up with an apple, and that's a clear indication. So
That's the other dirty little secret. You're not supposed to tell people to
I know,
test
right?
their blood sugar.
I know, right?
Because when you test your blood sugar, it will tell you your impact of
Yeah.
what that apple, that orange, that banana is doing
yeah,
to your blood sugar.
I can guarantee you that the candy bar's processed, yes. So it's I think got a lot more harm in it than an apple would say, but the effect on the blood sugar is the same. So I guarantee that if I had an apple and then I had something processed like a piece of milk chocolate or something, my blood sugar would do the same thing.
Well, and the point of this discussion is, people see the fruit as a good thing,
Yeah.
because it's not a processed crappy garbage food, as I call it, but it is something that could be harmful to certain people. If you're a type 2 diabetic, you know, because you have to, if you're a type 1 diabetic, you know you have to dose for the sugar that's in that fruit.
Yeah.
And so if you have to dose for it, that means it has a blood sugar and insulin response.
Yep. So a lot of these fruits, people are encouraged to eat fruits like strawberries and oranges, apples, whatever, because they're brightly colored. They have something in them called bioflavonoids, and that's what gives them their color. But you can do that with non-starchy veggies, bell peppers. If you don't have a nightshade issue, bell peppers, you can get them in all sorts of colors: purple, red, orange, green, yellow.
Oh, but they don't taste sweet, Christine.
They do if you go without sugar for a while. Yep, they sure do. And then you can have, if you can tolerate carrots, those are great, but they tend to be a little bit more starchy. So yeah, just find brightly colored vegetables that you can have, and you're getting those same nutrients in them.
So we've hammered on fruit for a little bit here, but there are other healthy foods that people end up eating. It's so funny when I talk to some of the keto doctors, and they have people, tracking what they're eating on their ketogenic diet, and they throw things in there like quinoa and oatmeal. It's steel cut oatmeal, and whole grains, thinking that that's okay. Why, again, do people think all of those things are healthy within the context of keto?
Well, the oatmeal, I can tell you, I think one of the claims that they say is that it helps lower your cholesterol.
That is what they say.
So it's perceived then as a healthy food. The fiber in it, that's another thing. We can get our fiber from leafy greens and non-starchy veggies. But all of these things, the oatmeal, a sweet potato, regular potatoes, rice, breads, they all have the same impact on the blood sugar.
Yep. And then another category of food that gets a lot of mention, when I went to the phlebotomist today and I told her I was doing this kind of keto carnivore, she's like, so can I have black beans? Mm-hmm. So beans is another one. Other than green beans, which is a non-starchy bean, mm-hmm. all the traditional beans are very high in carbohydrates, starchy carbs, fiber. They do have some protein, which is why they're loved and beloved by the vegans. But what's wrong with beans other than they make you flatulent?
So what happens is they are very starchy. So it's a complex carbohydrate.
What does that mean?
The effect on the blood sugar is not as quick as if it were to be refined. A simple or refined carbohydrate. So a complex carbohydrate is made up of multiple molecules, and so it has to break down in the body, and that's why the impact is slower. But it still, in the end, will raise your blood sugar. If you were to eat a piece of bread, you could test the sugar. There's these strips you can get, and I'm not sure what they're called, but you eat a piece of bread, or you put a piece of bread in your mouth, and then you put that strip on your tongue, and it turns black, indicating that bread is breaking down into sugar.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
Now, speaking of bread, there are people who say, well, I want to eat a healthier bread, so I'm going to go for the whole grain bread instead of the white bread. And that's another one of those healthy foods that people think is good for them when it's actually not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to respond to this. So even those whole grain breads, you're not eating those grains in their raw form, which
you break your teeth.
Yeah, we couldn't. So it's still having an impact on your blood sugar. And in all honesty, there's a lot of marketing gimmicks out there.
Uh-oh.
And so they say that it's whole grain. It's still processed. It may be not as processed, but it's still processed.
What if you make your own whole grain bread at home? So you take a stone and you break it up and then you bake it, and then you put a little bit of like sourdough yeast in there and do it all the right way. Can you make a good healthy bread?
The Weston A. Price Foundation has on their website, the importance of soaking grains and sprouting.
Can you talk about that a little bit, what the soaking and sprouting is supposed to do?
It's supposed to take the bad stuff out of the whatever it is that you're soaking or sprouting, it's mainly soaking.
Like anti-nutrients? Is that what you're talking about?
It supposedly gets those out of it, and it's easier for the body to handle, so it doesn't...
So it makes it more digestible.
Yeah, that's
In theory.
In theory, yeah.
Because I don't buy that you soak and sprout grains and it makes them suddenly healthier.
I mean, it depends on your metabolic state. And this
You know my metabolic state.
Yeah.
Would they be healthy for me?
I couldn't do it, and that's why we don't even do soaked and sprouted stuff.
Kitty Caddick says grain is a product for survival, not thrival.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing too. A lot of the grains are they're not like they used to be. They've been so genetically modified that our body doesn't recognize it. So, for those that want to do some sourdough bread, I mean that has some. I guess that's the best choice, but still, it's going to have an impact.
It's still going to have an impact on your blood sugar and insulin levels.
Yeah.
You know what gets me are people, and again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about why fruit and other healthy foods are not necessarily appropriate on keto. One danger zone is when people go to a restaurant and they order a salad. Mm-hmm. Because on the salad, there could be things on there that may or may not be good. Croutons notoriously so, not very healthy. And there's things that they could sneak into there, and never mind the vegetable oil laden dressings that they could put on there as well. So that is another place where people think they're doing a good job. Oh, I had a salad, so therefore I should be able to have dessert now because I had a salad.
One of the popular salads is like a salad with strawberries, candied walnuts, and like a raspberry vinaigrette or something, or some type of fruity vinaigrette on it. That vinaigrette is probably loaded with sugar. The candied walnuts obviously loaded with sugar, and it's just it's not good.
Yeah. Now, one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about fruit is fruit juice. People still think fruit juice is healthy. We travel a lot, so when we're in hotels, in the lobby in the morning, they offer, in the hotels that we stay in, they offer a nice breakfast, which has a hot bar where we get our bacon and sausage and eggs and things like that. But they also have all the crappy garbage, and one of the things that they have is a big fruit juice machine, which has orange juice, and apple juice, and grape juice. And people think, oh, well, I drank my juice, I'm doing a healthy thing, but they don't realize sometimes in those fruit juices there is as much sugar as there is in a can of Coca-Cola.
Well, here's why you stop and think about it. Okay, if you had a choice of eating an orange or drinking orange juice, obviously eating the orange is going to be better. I mean, because you have the fiber, those white little fibers that when you tear off the slices, I mean, you have that, so you're getting the fiber along with the fruit. But stop and think about this. How many apples or oranges does it take to make a glass of apple or orange juice?
It's a bunch.
You're not going to eat that many apples and oranges.
I'll tell you this. I was listening to a commercial the other day for Welch's grape juice. They said, and we put 500 grapes in each glass of Welch's grape juice. And I went, you're bragging about that it takes 500 grapes because you're sucking all the good stuff out. You're throwing away the fiber and you're leaving behind the sugary part. But they were bragging about it.
Yeah, and see, usually where the nutrients is that outer part of it. I mean, so what you're doing is you're taking the nutrients out of that thing and you're just drinking the sugar.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. So another area where people think they're doing pretty healthy is when they go to the store to buy meat and they get the leaner cuts of meat.
Yeah.
So they go for 90-10 ground beef. They go for chicken breast, turkey. When I see all of those things now, Christine, within the context of a ketogenic diet, I just think I'm going to be hungry after having those things.
Yeah, I mean, you're missing the fat, and the fat is what keeps you satiated. So we need fat. And you have observed yourself that having a lean piece of meat with some fat on top is much different than having the fat within the meat. For some reason, it makes a difference with you. It may not be that way for everybody.
Yeah, I can't have chicken breast that has then has like butter on top to try to offset the protein in the chicken. It doesn't work the same way as having a ribeye steak, which has natural fat that's in there with it.
Yeah, we need the fat. Don't be afraid of the fat because it's good for the immune system. You have something that we've talked about before, prostaglandins, which helps regulate and control inflammation. Without healthy fats, those hormone substances can't work right, and so your immune system is not going to be able to function properly. There are hormones that need fat, so your steroid hormones, your thyroid hormones all need fat in the diet. They're fat soluble hormones, and then just to keep you satiated, the fat is where it's at.
Yeah, and then speaking of fat, we mentioned this briefly earlier with the dressings. The vegetable oils. You go down the vegetable oil aisle at your grocery store, so canola oil and corn oil and all these oils in the clear bottles in your grocery store all have the American Heart Association heart health symbol on it. So people think that they're doing a good thing for their heart health when they have one of these kind of oils, and they're scared to death to eat butter and coconut oil and lard and all these truly healthy, real food-based fats. So that's another healthy thing that people are consuming, thinking they're doing a good thing, but it's not a good idea when you're keto.
No, those oils are very heat sensitive, and so if they're processed right, I don't see a problem with having them. But the problem is that in the grocery store, those oils have gone through a heating process. They're highly unstable, and so it damages the cells in your body. I mean, it does one thing really good, like you've talked about, it lower your LDL cholesterol, and that's why people, the media says that it's healthy and doctors say that it's healthy, but the damage that it's doing inside the body is pretty bad. So if you're going to have any of these types of oils, make sure they're in dark bottles, and they say cold pressed and organic.
So cold pressed, organic, and dark bottles is the key if you're going to get that. So is that what? Flaxseed oil? What would be considered an omega-6 fat that would be healthy, that would be in one of those organic cold pressed?
Well, I mean, you can have any of those oils.
Soybean oil?
I mean, yeah, you can soybean, cottonseed. I'm trying to think. Grapeseed.
Really?
But it's the process that these oils go through.
Yeah.
Again, they've been heated, so therefore they're already rancid on the store shelves.
Right.
So if you can get them cold pressed, they don't go through any heating,
then the inflammatory properties aren't there.
Right, because they haven't been heated. This is why you should never cook with those oils too.
But you're still only having extremely small amounts of these. Most of your diet needs to be monounsaturated fat.
Yes.
And then saturated fat next, and then that last 10% be these polys.
Yeah, we're talking a very small percentage. And if you don't want to get those oils, I mean, those oils can be used like on a salad dressing or something like that. But nuts have different walnuts, almonds. They have those
the
omega-6s.
full spectrum. 3, 6, and 9.
Yes.
Walnuts do.
Yes. So just eat some nuts if you don't have a nut allergy.
Yeah. All right. So have we exhausted the list of things that people think are healthy? Again, we're talking about all these foods. Christine talked to her PT today, and I ate a healthy breakfast. I had yogurt, sugar, and I had an apple, sugar, and what else did she have? Yogurt, almonds, which is good, unless they were roasted in the rancid soybean cottonseed oil, which would be highly inflammatory. So
I would say, I mean, just from experience in traveling, if you go to a hotel, if you stay in a hotel that has a hot breakfast, ask them to cook your eggs in real butter, and then ask for real eggs too.
Real eggs and real butter. Isn't that sad? You have to ask for real eggs and real butter, because otherwise they'll give you powdered eggs and margarine.
And you have found with those powdered eggs,
they're nasty, and I get hungry.
You're hungry like an hour later.
Starving.
So just you can when you go to restaurants and things like that, they may not always do it, but ask them to cook whatever it is in butter, or steam your vegetables, and then you can add your fat yourself. That way you know that they're not cooking it any bad oils.
Or bring your own fats with you.
Yeah.
Which I'm learning the hard way. It's probably a better idea than not. I'm still looking for little packets of ghee I could bring with me when I travel.
Yeah.
So when I travel tomorrow, I'm going to be fasting most of the time. But when I get there, I hope I find some good fatty meats.
I hope so too.
All right, let's see what they have to say. Keto Coach Russ says, what do you think about some of the full-fat Greek yogurt? I haven't used it. Are you using sour cream? Or I'm using sour cream instead, but I'm wondering your thoughts. Yeah, I think a good full-fat, unsweetened Greek yogurt is probably fine, Russ. Both of us have used that. We've had that with some of those low-carb keto granolas. We've also put some like dark chocolate in there with it. So, yeah, I think they're pretty good.
Absolutely. It's got good gut bugs in there to help your gut be happy and healthy. But like Jimmy said, just the key is getting it unsweetened and full fat. You don't want this no fat or half the fat or whatever crap. Just full fat yogurt is unsweetened.
Yeah. Bree B. Ketoing says, do you guys talk about micronutrients that are in veggies that we can also get in meat in your book, Real Food Keto? If not, what is a good resource to educate myself on all the micronutrients?
So, yeah, we have a couple of chapters. Let me shift myself here because I'm getting uncomfortable.
She has to sit back next to me. That would make anybody uncomfortable.
In our book, we do have a chapters dedicated on vitamins, and then another chapter on minerals. And in the back of the book, there are food sources of
List
those
galore.
Vitamins and minerals. So yeah, you take each. You ask about a vitamin. It's in the back of the book. A list of food sources that you can get. Yep.
Dina says, reading Real Food Keto right now. Thank you for your podcast, too.
Yeah.
Aww.
Awesome.
By the way, realfoodketo.com if you want to see some interviews that we've been on, plus to get links to our book. I think I get all my extra micronutrients eating organ meat, says Russ.
Oh, yeah. The organ meats are excellent. They're full of nutrients.
And see, again, this is something when people say, well, aren't fruits healthy and quinoa because you get all the nutrients? And they forget you can get just about all, if not most of those same nutrients in organ meats.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have trouble with the taste of organ meats, we use something from Paleo Valley. They're freeze dried. They have freeze dried
organ complex.
Yeah, organ complex that has, would you say, brains? It has
heart.
Kidneys, heart, liver.
Yes, all of that.
And so we take those because it's. I have
palatable.
It's more palatable. So
although I am going to be daring soon and get grass-fed beef liver and try to mix it in with some ground beef to up my carnivore game just a little bit.
It only takes a little bit. That's
just a little
the thing.
bit.
You have all this hamburger meat, and then you put a little bit of liver in there. You're probably not going to taste it. Yeah, I mean it's so nutrient dense. You only need a small amount of it.
Yep. Nature's vitamin is liver. God said, don't eat the forbidden fruit, said Joshua. He did.
He did.
Go straight to the liver and contributes to fatty liver disease, says low carb, keto for life, all those foods that they think are healthy.
Yep.
Exactly.
The fructose in the fruit goes to the liver.
Chrissy Sue says, because it has fiber and stuff is why I thought it was healthy before keto. Yeah. We all thought that, Christy.
That's what we're taught.
Sugar and fruits are attached to fiber and blah, 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 says Kitty Caddick. Fruit are not evil, but some people are better off without. Yeah. And that's a great point.
Yeah.
We're not demonizing fruit itself. We're demonizing the impact that the fruit is going to have in people, especially with insulin resistance. And remember, I've talked about this before on Jimmy Rants, you guys, that about 80% of the population has some degree of insulin resistance. Some much more severe, some less severe, but 80%, which means even that fruit is going to have an impact, which is why everybody should be testing their blood sugar to see where you stand.
I will have strawberries on occasion. I will have blackberries, and it's great to mix it with that fat. That way it kind of blunts or slows the impact that fruit has on the on your blood glucose. So mix it if you're gonna have some berries, and stick with the berries because they're the lowest in sugar. Add a fat source to it.
Yeah, like the Greek yogurt we talked about earlier, unsweetened. Ashton says that's the only way I miss, or the only thing I miss, is eating fruit, but it's just not worth the damage it'll do to my blood sugar.
Yeah,
that's right. Keto Cricket, fruit is God's candy to us, meant to be eaten only on occasion, not on a consistent basis. That's a great point. A lot of people, they eat it under the auspice that it's making them healthier, not realizing that with each bite, if they're damaged, like Kitty Caddick was saying, then it could actually cause more harm than good.
And we're not meant to eat those things year round, only in season. And that's where the problem comes in, because these things are shipped from all over the place to your grocery store. We have access to it year round, and that's where the problem comes in.
Right. Although we do have some out there in our greenhouse that if they start coming in, thanks to Kitty Caddick, by the way, that when they start coming in, I bet you she's going to gobble them all up.
Oh, you betcha. That first strawberry is mine.
So Keto Cricket says, just don't make me eat kale. Kale, yeah.
No, if you don't like kale, fry it in bacon grease. Jimmy did that. Oh my goodness, making kale chips. Oh my goodness. It is so crispy, and put a little bit of sea salt on it. Oh my gosh.
So Ashton said, I used to make a 3-bean salad thinking it was healthy. Yeah, we all did that.
I mean, my mama, when we go to her place, I mean, she gets I don't know if it's from Costco, where she gets it from, but anyway, it comes in a jar, and it's like they have different ones, but the one she usually gets is like a 5-bean something or other in a jar, and
it looks so healthy.
It does, but it's not.
Yeah. Crystal says, I've only been keto about 7 months. The foods you're talking about don't even smell good anymore. I do berries with homemade whipped cream, and that's about as sweet as I go. And see, that's the major change that happens, is people think they need those foods because they think they're generally healthy, and then they wonder, why in the world is this keto not working? I'm gaining weight, I'm not feeling well, blah blah blah. And so perhaps that's you. Maybe you've fallen for the trap of the so-called healthy foods, and you're including them in your keto diet, and they were never intended to be keto.
That's right. And when we're saying not to eat these, I think for kids that are healthy, these fruits on occasion are just fine.
Right, on occasion.
The problem is we're seeing more and more children that are metabolically damaged, and even for them, these fruits are going to be a problem.
Yeah. Mike says, when a Nature Valley granola bar has more sugar than a Snickers bar, there's a problem.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, granola bar is another one that has a nice health halo.
Because of the fiber in it.
Yeah.
So
the whole grains.
Yep.
Dr. Joe says whole grain is just a marketing concept, period. Sadly, that is true, but people still buy into it because it's reinforced. Eat your healthy whole grains. I know when we have a nice steak, that's all I can eat that day. I thought it was just because of the gastric bypass, says Crystal. But
I mean, that may be some of it too, but I mean, the fat in there is what's keeping you satiated, and the nutrients that you're getting in there, especially if you use like butter on top of it that's grass-fed. And when you said healthy whole grains, that's like saying fruits and vegetables. Right. It's all one thing.
That's right. Chrissy Sue says, talking about the hotels, when you say you want real eggs and real butter. They say, you want real eggs.
Yeah. And it is so sad you have to qualify that. Kind of like saying real food. I mean, it's food. I mean.
Yes. What brand have you found that is full fat and unsweetened? So I think she's talking about the Greek yogurt. Greek Gods is the one that we found at Whole Paycheck. Is there another one that you're aware of?
I'm sure there are, but that's the one
that's the one we like.
That's the one we get.
Yeah. Strawberries are the lowest in carbs. Does it still affect sugar like simple sugar does? Yeah, it does, especially if you have insulin resistance, which is why I need to stay away from them.
And that's why you need to test. If you think you're going to be okay with it, eat some strawberries and then test your blood sugar to see what happens. It's still going to affect your blood sugar the same.
So Russ said he just got beef heart and beef liver from Crowd Cow. Yeah, that's where I'm going to order my awful good food from is Crowd Cow. Beef liver sauteed in butter with salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Yes. Alberto said liver has 800% vitamin A in just 8 ounces.
Yeah, like I said, it
Very
doesn't
nutrient
take a
dense.
lot at all.
Yes. I have rheumatoid arthritis, says Sharon, so I'm thinking I need to avoid things that will cause inflammation. Well, yeah, all the foods we've talked about today can lead to that. If you have general questions about that, please write to me, jimmy@llvlc.com. Happy to help you out.
Yeah, so a ketogenic diet can help that. I mean, it's rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition, and that can be an indication of leaky gut. So I would look at your digestion too.
My friend has been posting her healthy breakfast, and they were all correct except for piles and piles of fruit all across her plate. And this was by her doctor's order. That's the other kind of monkey wrench in this discussion is the reason people keep eating this stuff thinking it's good is they're getting reinforcement from medical professionals and dietitians and so-called health experts.
Yeah, it's sad, but I gotta tell y'all an interesting story. My daddy called me today. He was so excited. He went in for his his annual physical, and the doctor saw the weight loss that my dad has had and the lowering of blood pressure and his blood sugar and everything. My dad wasn't diabetic, but I mean he had some weight to lose, and he had high blood pressure. So the doctor was so curious about how dad was getting his results. Dad said, I'm doing the ketogenic diet, and so they sat there literally.
Yeah, my son-in-law's reading some books, and my daughter.
Dad said that they literally sat there for 30 minutes, extra minutes, talking about the ketogenic diet, and Dad goes, well, don't you have patients to get to? I don't care. I want to learn more about this. So, I mean.
So we're sending them a copy of Keto Clarity.
Yeah.
And Real Food Keto. And
yeah, I mean, if you knew this doctor, you knew I've been kind of knocking my head against the wall trying to, but we're making progress a little bit at a time.
Yes. Crystal says, our life has totally changed since keto. We used to eat out 3 days a week, always processed quick foods. We haven't eaten out in the last 7 months. I cook everything without having anything that's processed. That's a big step.
Yes.
And it's something that people think, oh, well, we should eat out. Anytime you eat out, you're always at the mercy of whatever oils they're cooking the food in, whatever ingredients they use.
If you are going to eat out, if you have a farm-to-table type of restaurant, usually they do things on the up and up. So if you were to go out, if you have access to one of those places, that'd be a good option.
Keto My Success has a very profound statement. The doctors tell us eat the fruits and veggies, and when we don't lose weight or improve our health labs and they get awful, they don't believe that we've been compliant, and they tell us we're lying.
Non-compliant patient, yep.
Well, no, it's not non-compliant patient because because you're not fighting them on it. You're like, hey, I'm doing it, but they don't believe you. They call you a liar.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That, I mean, they can also say that you're not really following my advice, so you're being non-compliant.
Okay, I got you. All right, so guys, the bottom line in this Jimmy Ranch. I
talk for a living.
Jimmy Rants / Nutritional Pearls podcast crossover episode is that there will be people that will believe they're eating healthy because they're having fruit and other so-called healthy foods, and they're just not entirely not important when it goes to keto. And so you have to stick strong to what you know. Never veer from what you hear people talking about. You don't ever hear anybody in the keto community talking about eating fruit, not apple a day or whatever, not bananas. If you do, call them out, because that's not very good for most people.
Yeah.
If they're able to handle those kinds of fruit, then they're extremely insulin sensitive, and they're not the norm when it comes to this.
Absolutely. So you can have, if you can handle a half of a sweet potato now and then, go for it. It's got good micronutrients in it.
Yes. Keto fasting says both of our doctors will never agree or disagree with keto. They just keep saying, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. And that's a good doctor.
Yep.
Yes. Your journey is so inspiring. Never give up. Thank you, Mary. Always, always, always. Well, Christina Wiener, thanks for chiming in with your nutritional therapy practitioner expertise, as always, on this episode of Nutritional Pearls podcast. Where do they find us?
So, I just drew a blank.
NutritionalPearlsPodcast.com.
Sorry, my shoulder hurts.
Or LLVLC.com.
Yes. And Real Food Keto's realfoodketo.com.
And realfoodketo.com. And a partridge in a pear tree. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. As always, go to jimmyrants.com. And once you're there, you can engage in the content starting off on Instagram. So go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. And just like all these people did today, thank you guys. And if you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. So go follow me there. But if you miss it, or if you're not the Instagram type, it's all good. We do put all the past episodes up on YouTube. So go follow me. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, on YouTube. You will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. On Apple Podcast, and now brand new to Stitcher. Go subscribe, you guys. All of these links are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.